My name is Greg Bogosian, and I love everything about New England. Each week, I travel the region with my film crew searching for adventure. And along the way, I visit the places and the people that make New England extraordinary. This is New England like you've never seen it before. This is the New England Traveler. I'm Greg Bogosian, and this is the New England Traveler. We're here today at Cannon Mountain in Franconia Notch in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Cannon is a family-friendly resort rich in history. And speaking of history, later on today we're going to be down the road to the New England Ski Museum. But for now, it's cold, there's a lot of snow, and I'm all suited up. So let's go skiing.
Good morning, welcome to Cannon Rentals. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how can I help you?
I'd like to rent some skis.
Sure. Would you like to have the high-pro equipment?
As basic gets, I'm not very good. I don't think she likes my sense of humor.
This is a large, this is an extra large. Why don't you go ahead and try both and tell me which one feels best?
Okay. I think the large is going to fit. I've never worn a helmet skiing.
Safety first.
Thank you, Greg. Now, they have you here as a beginner skier, is that correct?
Yes, but I'm sure by the end of the day I'll be a pro.
All right. When's the last time you've been out?
It's been a couple of years.
All right. I think I'm going to set you up on 140s today.
Okay.
If you're comfortable on them, we can go back to a taller ski 150, but we'll try these out to start out. Yeah, if you like. Go ahead, if I get you standing straight up. Right. Okay. I think these will work pretty good for you. If you want something bigger as time goes on, come on in, we'll get you taller. Are you familiar with getting in and out of the boots?
Yes, I am.
And the bindings, okay. Put your toe first, put your heel in, just push down.
Snap it down.
Snap it down. And if you're skiing along, you want to get out, just take your pole, push down here, and it'll be like that for you. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you take one like this, just like this. And what we're looking for is a little 90-degree down. I think the blue ones will fit you better. The reds are a little bit too tall.
These feel a little bit better, yeah. Yep. And we're ready to go. Oh yeah, nice and tight. All right. I think you can see now. Let's go ski. I missed. Uh-oh, this is not a good way to start. Okay, so I made it onto the chairlift, and what I'm not thinking is that I haven't been on skis in like 4 years. So I probably should not be going all the way to the summit. Aw, man, falling off the lift. Okay, this is where you separate the men from the boys. Here I go. The conditions are kind of icy out here. What the? Oh, this isn't looking good. Is it too late for a lesson? Maybe I should just snowplow the rest of the way down. I've skied before, I swear! Okay, I'm done. Cannon 1, Greg 0. Where is that ski school? I think I saw a ski instructor around here somewhere.
The kids have nicknames for him. Ketchup and mustard. You can't get rid of mustard. Are you guys crazy?
Well, I've skied a lot in the past. So today was my first day skiing in a long time. It was my first time in a northern New England ski area. I skied out west a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a little.
Right.
And it's my first experience at Cannon Mountain. And I don't think I did that great. So I more tumbled down the mountain than skied today.
Well, you know, we have a solution for you, and we have a great ski school, and a lot of times people will just, you know, haul into the rental shop, grab some stuff and just go, and they ski a lot. Well, maybe a little, you know, maybe once in a while, maybe it's been a long time. We usually try to steer them. Yeah, we steer you guys towards the lesson, and it really pans out in the long run. always the best bet for beginner, first timer, maybe haven't been in a few years. Is I think ski lesson for you would have been the right move right off the bat.
I think a ski lesson is the next move, that's for sure.
Start you down low, but we try to get you going fast enough in a short amount of period to get you up the mountain to really experience everything that Cannon has to offer. It's a beautiful place.
Tell me, how high is Cannon Mountain?
Cannon is actually the highest lift service peak in New Hampshire. We also have the longest vertical drop. So it's a big mountain. We're over 4,000 feet. 4,080 feet is the technical summit of the ski area. There's a lot in between 4,080 feet and the base. And when you drive by, it looks imposing because it is so big. And you see the front, it looks steep and it looks tough. When you break it down, Cannon's actually 2/3 intermediate and beginner terrain, and we have a lot of stuff in between.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the mountain.
Cannon is actually home to the first ski racing trail in North America, and that first ski race trail was cut 1931-32, and that was before Cannon was an actual ski area. So folks from the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, started skiing on stuff that was old logging roads, and you know, I hear they looked at Cannon Mountain and just said we need to ski that. So eventually that turned into them coming up here and cutting a few actual trails with no lift service, and they hiked to it and they skied it, and that sort of was the impetus behind the construction of the aerial tramway. We actually had the first aerial tramway in North America. That was 1938. Carried 27 people, and when that happened, and that's when Cannon became an official ski area. Between 1938 and 1979, it carried over 6 million people to the top of Cannon Mountain.
And what year did they build a new tram?
The original tram ran until 1980 when the new tram was installed. That carries 70 people in the wintertime and 80 people in the summertime. So that made a huge difference, and it's a big part of the history of Cannon.
And how long is that tram ride? How long does it take to get up and down?
The tram ride takes around 7 minutes now. It travels on over a mile of cable to the summit of Cannon. It gains over 2,000 feet along that ascent. So it's a significant climb, and it gets you right to the top of the mountain, and it's a good way to go. I mean, there's a big giant red one and a big giant yellow one. Kids have nicknames for them, ketchup and mustard. There was one point in time a few years ago where we talked about painting them both red, and you know, Cannon's color is red, and word got out, and we got letters from local school kids like you wouldn't believe, like, you can't get rid of mustard, are you guys crazy? And I guess we were.
Oh, tell me some fun, quirky, wacky facts about Cannon Mountain.
You know, one of the little fun facts we throw out about Cannon Mountain is that we have the highest beer tap in New Hampshire. So if you want to get a beer out of a tap over 4,000 feet, come to Cannon Mountain, I guess. It's maybe the most important fun fact for people. Seems to be catching on.
I think it might be the most important fun fact.
Right.
When skiing got popular, all of a sudden people realized you can get hurt doing this.
Right down the road from Cannon Mountain's incredible ski slopes, at the base of the aerial tram, sits a New England gem. We're here at the New England Ski Museum. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Greg.
How are you?
Welcome to the Ski Museum.
Thank you very much.
Looks like they brought us a little snow.
I think I did.
Yeah. Come on in. Take
Thanks.
your coat off. We'll show you around.
All right.
So, Greg, over here on the center of the museum, we've got our annual exhibit, which we change every year. Work hard to put something new up so that there's always something different.
Right.
But for the most part, what's on the perimeter of the wall here behind you stays here year after year. We go from the Olympic medals of Bodie Miller all the way back to these Stone Age light skis that are still built in Central Asia and the Altai Mountains.
Those are very cool looking.
That's primitive skiing right up to the modern day racing expertise of Bodie Miller. So let me point out this book before we go by it, Greg. This was published in 1555. This woodcut shows the first depiction of skiing in any printed form, hunting on skis in Scandinavia. That sort of trickled down to the modern day in the form of biathlon, where people are cross-country skiing and shooting rifles.
Shooting rifles. Yep.
Yeah. Skiing first got popular in the United States. It was the Nordic form, cross-country skiing, ski jumping, and it would draw thousands in the 1920s and so on. In the 1930s, over in Europe, they started to develop better ways of skiing downhill and being able to turn deep snow. And a couple of instructors over there, most notably a guy named Hannes Schneider, sort of developed the whole idea of how to, number one, turn your skis, and number two, how to teach large numbers of people how to do the same thing.
Right.
So he invented the sort of the ski instruction method we use today. And right over here, you got some of the suitcases that he actually brought over when he moved from Europe to North Conway 75 years ago. So it's really symbolic of skiing making the jump from the old world to the new world, because right about the same time, it got very popular in America.
I think my grandmother had a case like that.
She probably didn't have all those stickers on it, though. So when skiing first got popular in the United States, downhill skiing, was really sort of in the northeastern colleges.
Right.
This ski here is the kind of thing they would have used in 1912 or 1913, if you can imagine that, you know. And here's a nice example of early 1904 Tachko ski from Portland, Maine that was actually so finely made the owner couldn't make a living making them and had to go out of business. The narrow width says that it's a cross-country ski for skiing across, you know, open fields
Right.
and roads. In the 1950s, metal skis came in. A lot of people had head standards. Metal skis only really lasted for about 10 or 15 years before fiberglass started to come in. So in the 1990s, very early 90s, maybe 92 or 93, Elan and another ski company, Nigel, started building skis like this that were, instead of more or less straight, you know, there always been a side cut, but they really made it much narrower at the waist, much wider at the tip and the tail, and the net effect was to make the ski turn much easier. Instead of having to spend years becoming an expert skier the way you would back in Hannes Schneider's day, now people can pick up the sport very, very easily.
Yeah, I want that accelerated program.
Yeah, it might be in order from what you were telling me.
I think it is, definitely.
Well, let me tell you about the National Ski Patrol a little bit, Ski
Okay.
Patrol in general, because in the 1930s when skiing got popular, all of a sudden people realized you can get hurt doing this. So realization came about that they needed to have some form of a rescue unit that would be able to evacuate people and give them first aid. C. Minot Dole, everybody called him Minnie, was tasked with starting an organization which became the National Ski Patrol about 1938. And it really became a very effective form of training people how to give first aid and developing toboggans to be able to ski people down the slope when they were hurt. Then all of a sudden, World War II came along. And Dole and some of his patrol friends knew that European armies had ski troops. So they started a campaign. They ended up convincing the War Department to start an experimental ski troop program. Ultimately, it became a whole division, the 10th Mountain Division. The Army really didn't know what to do with them. They ended up going into combat in Italy in 1945. One of the most popular exhibits we've ever had has been about skiing in Tuckerman Ravine. Tuckerman Ravine is on the east side of Mount Washington in New Hampshire. You know, even in the 30s, people were going up there and skiing in March and April.
No chairlifts.
No chairlifts.
I could
Still
see these
no
guys at the
chairlifts.
top here climbing up there.
I don't think I'd want to ride a chairlift if it was going up that, but people have to hike to get there. Tuckerman Ravine is named after Edward Tuckerman, a botanist of the 1840s. That was long before anyone was skiing in the White Mountains or anywhere, but everyone wonders who Tuckerman was. So it's a tradition for a lot of people to end their ski season skiing in Tuckerman Ravine in April or May.
Still to this day.
Yeah, still to this day.
Wow. I'll have to check it out sometime.
You might want to take those lessons first grade.
Jeff, thanks for inviting us to the New England Ski Museum. I really appreciate it.
Great to see you, Greg.
Thank you very much.
In 1941, the trip to Whitefield was postponed indefinitely.
In New Hampshire, there are a lot of places to stay. But where we're going today has long been a favorite haunt of presidents and celebrities. It's the Mountain View Grand Hotel. It's right behind me. Now let's get out of this cold and get inside and check it out.
The history of Mountain View House, or as it's known today as Mountain View Grand, Started in the final year of the Civil War in 1865. William and Mary Dodge had a farm in this location. There was a stagecoach that was traveling from Boston to Montreal, and it broke down during a storm. The stagecoach driver referred the occupants to the Dodge farm. The Dodge family was very gracious and took them in and fed them. And the next morning, it was blue skies, and the guests woke up, and they marveled at the view of the property. And they stayed for a few days, and they suggested to the Dodges that they should have an inn or board guest. Later that summer, the same guest came back and stayed for a number of weeks. The next year, in 1866, the Dodges built an addition onto the side of their house, which was lodging for travelers that were traveling up and down the Stagecoach Road. And that was the beginning of a continual expansion of turning the hotel into a grand resort. The property continued to grow, and they continued to expand on the building and its size, largely because of the influx of people that were coming out of the cities during the summers. And they stayed for very long periods of time. And Mountain View House eventually grew into one of 30 grand hotels in northern New Hampshire. And it continued to grow and survive through the Great Depression. And after World War II, it really hit its heyday. These grand hotels provided every service, the comforts of home, for people who were traveling for long periods of time. The Dodge family continued to run the hotel for 113 years. By the time that the Dodge family sold the hotel in 1979, the demographics and the stay patterns of the guests really had declined and changed. And it finally went into bankruptcy and was closed in 1986. And the hotel stayed closed for 16 years. For that 16 years, the building wasn't used, roofs leaked, animals ran through the building. In 1998, there was Kevin Craffey, who was a builder from Massachusetts, and saw an ad in the Boston Globe that was advertising a fixer-upper. My first introduction to the hotel was back in 1999, and I remember the day that I got here, and the hotel was completely gutted. It was water damaged and in a very sorry state. I distinctly remember getting in the car and driving away and looking back up at the building, and there was paint peeling off of it and shutters that were falling off. And all I could think of was wishing him good luck. It took a tremendous amount of effort, a lot of hard work, to be able to completely renovate the hotel because everything needed to be replaced. In the spring of 2002, he successfully reopened the hotel. We purchased the property in 2005. And from there, we've continued to make improvements to the hotel and make it a family destination.
Mountain View Grand Hotel is impressive on a lot of levels. It's historic, it's huge, and the rooms are beautiful. From the dining room, to the pub, to the lobby. The second you walk in, you feel right at home. He's also the resident historian of the hotel. He's managed to keep a record of almost every guest who stayed here at the Mountain View Grand, including historical photos and even guest cards.
And everything was done on old cards. And there's different notes about either their stay or about whether they came with a dog or whether the dog behaved or not. There's even some that comment about how good looking the couple was. Mountain View House hosted a who's who of American celebrities from the early 20th century, from Groucho Marx to Mark Twain to Betty Grable to Mary Pickford, Babe Ruth, a host of them, including 4 presidents, President Harding, Hoover, Roosevelt, and Eisenhower. President Eisenhower was a frequent guest of the hotel. He wouldn't actually stay in the hotel, he would stay in the Dodge family home. The Dodge family would be kind enough to vacate their house, and he would move in with his administrative staff and Secret Service and stay. But one of the real lures was playing golf, and he was an avid golfer. Today, Mountain View Grand is a full-service resort. Being a historic property, we're concerned about maintaining the hotel's historic nature. We have continually invested in trying to make the hotel as sustainable as possible, which includes conserving electricity and power. But we also put in our own wind turbine, which produces power for the hotel. So 100% of the electrical power that we use comes from wind power. And we feel that it's an important thing for us to do.
Next time you're skiing Cannon Mountain, be sure to check out the Mountain View Grand Hotel. Thanks for joining me in the White Mountains. In this episode, we stayed in luxury at the Mountain View Grand Hotel, skied at Cannon Mountain, and took a peek inside history at the New England Ski Museum. Make sure you join me on my next adventure. I'm Greg Bogosian. I'll see you next time on the New England Traveler.